Hey everyone, it is Sunday, October 30th, 5:54 p.m. and I am sitting here in my office working on getting it more organized, more clean. And I'm getting there. One step at a time. You can see a little bit of wood around me here too, which is pretty cool. Wanted to shoot this video. It's about a real conversation that I had this morning at breakfast. Generally, every Sunday, or at least 2 or 3 Sundays a month, we all gather, a bunch of friends of mine and I gather for breakfast on Sundays. And I was sitting next to a person from Toronto, a real person from Toronto, who has a condo up there. And the condo has dropped in value by $100,000, this person had said. Okay, it seems logical, seems normal. There's always an ebb and flow because valuations are always doing this. We always want the valuations to be increasing up. Just like the stock market, we're constantly doing this. So that's all seems logical and normal. Okay. And that person has a debt load on that unit of about $500,000. Now, they make a little bit over $125,000 a year in their career path, possibly a little bit more, maybe 160, but I'm going to use 125 in this video so that you can understand how debt levels are going to be crushing him like a bug and are going to be crushing every country like a bug, and how we have spiraled into a very serious problem as interest rates are ticking up, and that there's no solution to this problem other than World War III or complete bankruptcy of every country all at the same time. It's kind of a scary position. It's not the most pleasant thing to shoot a video about, I totally agree. But you can make yourself you can put yourself into a better position. You always could have put yourself into a better position. As you know, I'm a financial advisor, and I believe getting out of debt is the number one thing that everybody should always do. You should never fund a TFSA. You should never fund an RSP. You should have a cushion, a rainy day fund, in case the transmission goes out on your 12.2-year-old car. I get that. But most people go into debt markets and continue to just keep borrowing. Another person at breakfast today was complaining that their student loans from the United States were not going to get wiped off by Joe Biden, and that person is also going out and buying a brand new car when there's nothing wrong with the old car that he has. Again, we choose to make these decisions around debt. We choose to make these decisions around debt, and we'll never get out of debt. Of course, when I said, I paid off my student loans, why wouldn't the government then give me the $10,000 that they're otherwise going to give you? That would not seem fair. Oh, the shit hit the fan. How dare you? Just because you were rich enough to pay off your student loans doesn't mean that they shouldn't pay mine off. Of course, I got that, but that's okay. It is what it is. It's a good point, and that's why the courts are getting involved in this whole situation here now. But got a little bit off track with the reason I'm shooting this video, but it is kind of all interrelated. So this person I was sitting next to said that his interest rate was 1.93%, but that he's on a variable rate mortgage. He chose that variable rate mortgage, and that it's now 5.31%. So I want to use that number to be able to show you how that interest rate change is crushing him financially and why he's sad. Because it makes a big difference. It's why I'm happy. So when it was 1.93% with a $500,000 mortgage, his yearly cost of interest was about $9,650. Now, with $125,000 income, that's easy to pay that payment. That's okay. That's good. That's easy. That's not a problem. And his yearly was $96.50. His monthly cost of insurance was $804. Nobody pays any attention to what they pay monthly in interest. It's the stupidest thing. You should be paying all of your attention should be on reducing your monthly cost of insurance or cost of interest. The less interest you pay to the bank means that there's more money that you get to keep in your own pocket. I don't care if it's $1 decrease per month. You're getting $1 more in your pocket every month of your own hard labor. Why do we want the bank to make the money off of our hard labor? I don't understand. So now his interest rate is 5.31% on the same debt level, and that is $26,550 a year. So it's tripled almost, and that is $2,212 a month that this person is currently paying in interest to the bank. Think about that. Over $500 a week is going to the bank. Next page, shall we? Now, this person's income, I'm going to use it at $125,000 a year. Taxes are about 25%. Ontarians pay about 25% total tax. I'm using total tax. I'm using, provincial tax, sales tax, every tax. About 25%, $31,250. Leaving this person with a net income of $93,750 after taxes, which is $7,812 a month. That's a substantial income here in Canada, $7,812 a month. Pretty good income. I think you'd agree. I agree. That's a really good income. I would like that income. So when he was paying $804 in interest, that was only 10.29% of this monthly income. But now that interest is $2,212 a month, that is suddenly 28.3% of this income. It almost tripled. And it will triple over time. You're going to see that in a minute. So now all of a sudden, I'm paying a lot of money. Okay. Total interest and taxes, if you take and add up $31,250 and the interest that he's paying now on this new loan, that total is $57,800, which is 46%. 46% of his gross income is going to taxes and interest. It's going to big government and big banks in Canada. Now you know why the big banks love big government. Now you know why they work in cohesion with each other to keep people under control. Pretty simple information there. Pretty straightforward stuff. All of us are feeling this. Every one of us with a mortgage. By 2024, and I gave this person some comfort. I said, yeah, by 2024, your interest rate is going to be 7.1%. So it's not going to be that much more. It's not going to triple again, hopefully, by 2024. And he looked at me like, huh? What are you even talking about, Wilson? I don't even understand any of this stuff because they don't teach it to me in high school any longer in Canada. It was well beyond him. It was well beyond everything that he could possibly even think about. I don't get that part. That's the part I don't get. I don't understand how people can be so uneducated around the concepts of interest and money. I don't get it. We all care about money. We should learn about it. So 7.1% interest means that his interest rate is his annual interest is going to go to $35,500 by 2024, if not sooner. Which means that his monthly interest is going to go to $29.58. But that is a almost four time, it's 3.5 times what he had been paying. He had been paying $804. Keep that in mind. He had been paying $804. But by 2024, his interest is going to be $29.58 a month. And his taxes, assuming that everything stays even, which as we know, taxes are constantly going up, is going to be $66,750. $66,750 is considerably different than the $57,800 currently. But it's not going up as rapidly fast, supposedly. So he's going to be paying 53.4% of his total income is going to go to big banks and big government. That's where this is going to. That's why if you're going to invest in something, invest in big banks. They're going to get more and more and more of every Canadian's dollars. But eventually Canadians will get smart and will sell off these condos or will change their lifestyle in some way and say, okay, this is nuts. I got to go to commune living because I need more control over my money and I got to get debt free. Now, this particular person sits there and says, yeah, but I can't, I couldn't work someplace else because I make so much money up in Toronto. That's not necessarily true. We don't know what a person in your career path makes in Butte, Montana, where it costs $12 to live. We don't know any of those things. You've never looked into moving to Butte, Montana because you're free. You have this thing called freedom. You have this ability to be able to move anywhere you want to go in this world, and you don't necessarily have to stay working in your career path. This person happens to be a lawyer, by the way, and they can go out into private practice. They can go into anything they wanted to do. They're not handcuffed. They feel that they're handcuffed because they think that they're going to get a pension at the end of time. And as we know, pension funds are now bankrupt. That's one of the other things that's going on the globe. He doesn't understand that. That's why I don't care about a pension. The chances of me getting a pension by the time if I decide to ever retire, are slim to none. Pensions are not something that are going to exist in 10 years. So at the end of the day, the total is 53.4% of his income. Keeping this video moving along. So the same thing that's happening to him with debt becoming 53.4% of something. In the United States and Canada, we carry debt. Our government is carrying debt. And everybody says, well, it's only a small percentage of GDP because GDP is continuously growing. Well, I'm sorry, but GDP is now shrinking because the economies around the globe are shrinking. Now, U.S. GDP was up 2.3% or whatever it was for the quarter. That's good, that's fine. But we'll have to see where we go for next year. It was a short-lived recession. We're back into recovery and growth again. We'll have to see how long that lasts. My point is it's not going to last for very long. But every country around the globe is also having this problem. Debt is crushing the world. Everybody that carries debt, every country carries debt. So every country's carrying cost of that debt has soared, just as this person who I was sitting next to at breakfast. But they continuously keep borrowing money. They don't fix their problem and say, gee, we got to stop borrowing money because if we continue to keep borrowing money, we're going to be 100% in debt. And then what do? That's called Nexum, by the way. That was a theory back in, like 5,000 years ago in early Rome, where you could borrow and borrow and borrow and borrow. But if you got to a point where you couldn't pay it, then you became a slave to the person or to the bank or to whoever loaned you that money back then for an indiscriminate period of time. Might be for the rest of your life. Not sure exactly how long that is. It's called Nexium. That's the process of Nexum. That's why it's interesting. The purple pill is called Nexium. It's just interesting. I find all of this data just interesting at the end of the day. Could we be enslaved to the purple pill if we start on it? Well, who knows? But once we start on a drug, we're typically enslaved to that drug for the rest of our life. So it makes sense that a drug would be called Nexium. Makes perfect sense. Kind of smart of that drug company, by the way. But anyways, back on track here. Some of you will look that up and laugh at that and realize the personality that I have when it comes down to doing these kinds of videos. But if we get debt free, we give ourselves a pay raise. In this particular case, if this person was to just rechange his life around, take a lower paying job in Windsor or take a lower paying job or a same paying job in Butte, Montana or wherever, we don't know. He's never looked at a lower cost area of living. He just lives in Toronto. It's where I've always lived. That's what I always know. It's like, well, yeah, but it's crushing you. It's limiting your ability to be able to live your life. And if that's limiting your ability to live your life, you control the mechanisms to be able to fix that through debt. Get rid of debt. Then suddenly you're back in control. So Give yourself a pay raise. In his particular case, it would be $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month that he wouldn't be paying the bank in interest if he simply paid the bank off. So should he put any money into his RSP this year? Oh, hell no. Should he put any money into his TFSA this year? Oh, hell no. Because every dime, and think about this. This is where I get to get my handy pen out. So if I had $20,000 that I was going to put into my TFSA, this year that $20,000 has gone down by 22%. Market's down. Well, it's recovered some, so let's go 17% negative. But for every one of these $20,000 that I put on debt and didn't go into new debt, I would be earning at this new interest rate that he's paying, going back to this rate, 5.31%. So it's a guaranteed rate of return of 5.31%. So not only does this $20,000, it ends up making, because it's going to cut down his debt, this $20,000 that he pays extra on his mortgage, so putting into his TFSA and funding his retirement, which he'll never retire anyway. None of us will ever retire. We'll never be able to save enough money to be able to retire. We can replace money to be able to retire. That's the key set that I'm on with my options trading learning curve. I want to replace money. So anyway, for this particular person, that $20,000 would have earned him 5.31% if I grab my calculator out and I say, $20,000 by 5.31%, that's $1,062. So not only would he have paid his mortgage off by $20,000, but he would have also paid his mortgage off by $1,062. So he would have paid $21,062 ostensibly. Now, this is a little abstract, this kind of concept, but we have to stay focused on this concept. So at the end of the day, you can understand how interest rates are crushing you, and how taking another job, delivering pizzas, doing with the Dave Ramsey plan, doing whatever you can, having a massive garage sale to put extra money on your mortgage, whatever you need to do. For me, it was doing cars. They're still sitting here on my desk. I've got to get them a little bit more organized. But I'm sorry, if I buy, just because I know it, if I buy it's a little dusty because I haven't sold it yet because it's one of my favorite vehicles. If I buy a Steerables Hot Wheels truck made in the 1980s for $60 in an auction, and I can turn around on my Etsy channel and sell this because it's ultra rare. I actually bought it very, very well. It's ultra rare, and I can turn around and I can sell it. Let me give you a better example. Let me give you this example of this Steerables semi-truck, because it actually has the tag on it. There you go. Ultra rare, 1980 Hot Wheels Steerables citrus truck, 2 pieces, $200. And I'll sell this on my Etsy channel very, very rapidly. I paid $100 for it. So if I paid $100 for it and I sell it for $200, I have 100% gain, and I've got $100 in my pocket. I've replaced $100 of income. I don't have to go to work for $100 if I just put this out on Etsy and sell it, which I'll do that. I don't know if it's going to be today, but sometime soon. It's scheduled to go out on Etsy. So that's how you get out of debt. You find new jobs, new ways to be able to create money to pay on debt. Because if I put that $100 of profit on debt, then that saves me, I make 5.31% per year on that $100. I have to go to work and I have to sell this truck because I have debt. Now, when I get debt-free like I am right now, do I really need to go do this stuff? No, that's why there's dust piling up here on this Steerables truck. It's not as important. I can enjoy it while I own it. I enjoy it. It's a great truck. It's very, very rare. And very few people actually own them. That's why that has market value to them. So anyway, you can understand how being debt-free changes around your whole dynamic of everything, but the struggle to get debt-free is exceptionally difficult. It takes you 10 minutes to get into debt, and it takes you 10 years to get out of debt. So what are you waiting for? Let's get started right now. One of the fastest ways to be able to get out of debt is to look at the equity that you have in your expensive area that you live and move to a cheaper place to live. Use that equity then. Use that equity you have built up to get debt free, because then you're going to be keeping more money in your own pocket. And I'm sorry, but if you move to Windsor and you have $3,000 more in your own pocket, that is a massive income on a monthly basis in the city of Windsor. So all of you folks that are thinking about retiring, it is doable, it's possible. You don't need $2.4 million of savings to be able to afford to retire. We can sell that house that you have up there, and we can move you down here to Windsor into a more modest $350,000 house. Beautiful house, by the way. Beautiful house, by the way. You have no debt. And go out to dinner every night if you wish to. We go out to dinner so darn much, I'm like, we got to stop going out to dinner. We're going out to dinner so much. So let's get this done. Let's get on top of our debt. Just because the countries we live in are going higher and higher into debt doesn't mean that we have to be that way. Just because the person I sit next to at breakfast is going worse and worse into debt, spiraling out of control, doesn't mean that I have to do that. The other person on the other side of me was out of debt. The two of us are living a wonderful life being debt-free. You can too. You just have to want to do that. So it starts by listening to the Dave Ramsey Show, buying his books, and about the concepts of understanding how $1 selling a truck, buying a truck for $100 and selling it for $200 to somebody else who goes into debt to buy it probably. Who cares? I'm just kind of taking the Ponzi scheme. I'm taking money from this person to put onto that person so that I can be debt free. That's really technically what it is. Think about it that way. So get debt free. If you have any questions about trying to get debt free, if you would like a financial advisor that will help you to be able to focus on this stuff, I'm going to charge you a little bit per hour. I am, because I have to stay debt free too. But if you would like that assistance, then all you have to do is reach out. Hey, Brian, what should I do with this? What should I do with that? Give me some hints, tips, ideas, and suggestions. It's not going to be easy. Trust me. It's very, very difficult to get out of debt. That's why no country wants to do it. Nobody has the political willpower in any country to say, hey, we're going to start cutting back on programs. We're going to go back to the years of the Model T where there were no roads, because we can't afford to build roads. We can't afford to build bridges over water. We can no longer afford to do that. We just can't. We don't have enough money to be able to do that. And we're not going to go borrow money from people who loan money, because that's going to come to an end at some point in time too. But thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps you to understand a little bit more about personal debt. I hope it helps you to understand how your decisions around debt are crushing you, and that together we can start focusing on trying to get that fixed. Thanks for tuning in.